Here we are. Here we are at the very last lesson of the Brightline Healing curriculum. The entire 16-week curriculum has brought us here, and today is a call to celebrate that. We've talked a lot about how we have a tendency to do one or both of these things. Looking back at the past, or looking ahead at the future and being preoccupied with what's coming next. So rarely do we take a moment to notice when we've completed something. So I want to talk about this concept of completion. Regardless of whether you've engaged with every single one of these lessons and practices and coaching calls, or you've just engaged a little bit, today marks the end of a 16-week commitment. And no matter how you think you did, or what shifts you've experienced, large or small, today I want you to honor that. And back to this concept of completion, it's very easy, especially in lives that feel overfull, or just out of habit, to have a lot of open loops, a lot of things that are incomplete in our lives. And this can be very tiny things like the car needing an oil change, or really big things like someone from your past who you haven't forgiven or you feel unresolved with, or a really hard conversation that you've been needing to have with someone and that you keep putting off, or even a heart's desire that feels like it keeps knocking and you keep ignoring it, right? All these things we can think of as open loops. And the thing about open loops is that they drain our energy. Whether we're aware of it or not, having something in our life that feels incomplete is a pull on our energy system. So for today's inquiry, I want you to consider the open loops in your life. And after this video, you can get out a piece of paper and you can write down everything you can think of that's not complete. And you might see that there's a lot of stuff, or maybe just a few things, but everything from the very, very tiny, like the car maintenance stuff, to the very, very big, write it all down. And this is not to overwhelm you. It's to bring it into consciousness. As soon as we bring these open loops into consciousness, then we have a choice. And the choice is either to deal with them, right? And in the case of things like car maintenance or needing to send a thank you note, I encourage you to start to chip away at those things. You can set aside, you can do 15 minutes a day of completions, and it can really make a difference to your level of energy, an immediate difference. And for the big things, it's a matter of checking in internally and deciding, is it time to deal with this, right? Is it time for me to deal with to have this conversation? And if you know it's not, for whatever reason, allowing yourself to make the choice to set that to the side for later. When we make that choice consciously to set something aside for later, or even I'll think about that next month when my work project has slowed down, right? Or I'll revisit that, or I know I need to bring that up with my therapist, or, we make a choice about what the next step is, if anything. We become conscious, and that's enough to close the loop. And then we can open it later, right? Giving ourselves the gift of completion makes a profound difference to not only our energy levels and our anxiety levels, but also to our ability to be present, to be connected here and now. Because each of those things is pulling us into the past, into the future. And for our final invitation, I want you to create a ritual of completion. And if you're kind of witchy person and you love to do rituals, you can make one that's as elaborate as you like. If the idea of creating a ritual sounds kind of like, where do I even begin? Here's a couple of ideas. One thing you can do is go back, if you've done a bunch of journaling throughout the course, or even if you've done a little journaling, go back and kind of skim through what you've written, and then maybe write about your experience of these last 16 weeks. You might spend some time revisiting or going back to some lessons that you missed. You might spend some time with the coursework or listening to coaching calls. What sounds even more fun is to take yourself on a date and to somehow formally recognize that you're at the end, that to mark it. And that's why humans do things like have graduation ceremonies and even funerals. These are really important ways that we let ourselves know that we've come to the end of something, that we're at a transition point. Now, the theme of our courses here has been coming home and becoming whole. So whatever you do, let it be an expression of that. It can be anything from booking yourself a massage to going to your favorite place by the water with your journal, to, you get the idea. Whatever feels like coming home, whatever feels like an expression of wholeness for you. I'd encourage you to do it by yourself for that reason, to connect with yourself. Because if there's one thing that I'm hoping you're walking away from this course with, it's the embodied understanding that yourself, capital S self, is your wisest teacher. And that any teacher or teaching that you resonate with out here is only a reflection of that inner teacher. So I want you to keep that, to continue to get to know that, to continue to adhere to that radical integrity that we talk about, and navigate your life that way. And let this just be a beginning. I mean, let this just be a reminder of that. Let this course serve, when you think of it, as a reminder of your own inherent wholeness. Everything that you're looking for is in you. And everything out there is only a reflection of that. And finally, I want to thank you. It's been an honor and a privilege to walk with you over these 16 weeks and to get to know many of you. I thank you and I celebrate with you.